And then just like doing the right things, getting your rest, not drinking, you know what I mean? Just doing all the right things, I think rest, staying in shape, and just sticking to your training, man. That's it. Like trusting your coaches, try not to, wander off too much. Like there's guys that'll jump from gym to gym to gym to gym to try to get like the best partners or like try to like, we pretty much stick to ourselves, like yesterday we trained, it was just me and him, you know what I mean? And we went for 2 hours hard, just me and him, he's only 125 pounds, but we just go in there and we get it done.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Seems like obviously consistency, stay in the course, and obviously not, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? You kind of look at it like that.
Exactly.
It's not broke, don't fix it. Go with what works. Go with what worked for you in the past.
Yeah.
And Nick, I mean, do you kind of agree, or is there something that's a little different on your end that you maybe want to add into what Dymere said, or something that maybe you've noticed throughout your fighting career that may work a little bit better for you, or something you focus on?
No, he's got it right on. It's cardio is huge in fighting. Like you could be a great fighter technically, and go out there and be a killer. But if you can't be a killer throughout each round, you're not going to make it. But cardio, rest. I think our coach drills us with that, so we both probably have the same thought about that.
Right.
Yeah, and like we've both been going to a boxing coach now too. His name's Brian Green at Greenlight Boxing Academy in Summerdale.
Yeah.
And he says the same thing to me. He's like, man, like you got to get your rest. Like rest and cardio. He's like, do sprints. A lot of people think it's a lot of like long distance running, but if you think about it, in fights, it's a lot of short bursts.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So the sprints is really what, and like, we do we'll do like a sprint up and back, then do like 5 push-ups, and we'll do that for like 6 minutes straight, you know what I mean? Sprint up and back, 5 push-ups, sprint up and back, 5 push-ups, sprint up and back, 5 push-ups, like for a whole time, you know what I mean? So, like that's both of my coaches at this point preach that, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and also too, like just from like being an observer, like in the audience, and just kind of watching it over the years on TV, or whether I go to a live fight. I mean, like you said, Dymere, that quickness and that back and forth in such a short span is so important. Like, like you said, you're not really going for like, I mean, obviously you are going for long, like you don't want to be long-winded, but you want to be able to, the endurance is so important because you got to be able to last the rounds.
Right.
You got to be able to take the punches, you got to be able to take if you're getting taken down, you got to be able to, if somebody's got you on the ground, how are you getting out of that, right? You got to have the win. And it seems like, I feel, people, or fighters, I should say, who don't really have the right endurance, they may just get swept out a lot quicker than they would if you did have that endurance.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially because I went from having my rounds being 2 minutes. Now I have 3-minute rounds now, so it's a 9-minute fight. It's
wow.
A 6-minute fight. Yeah.
So you went up a little bit in the time there.
Yeah, but it's a different time, and it's pro rules. So there's I'm not wearing any shin guards now, and ground and pound is legal and everything. So.
Right. And I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, the last time that I remember I attended one of your fights. This was before you were needed to the next jump, where now you had the shin guards on, and you were before. This was, I think, last year at some time. You now that your fight's going forward, now you said you don't have all that, right?
No, I don't have any.
Okay.
It's pretty much a pro fight now. Yeah.
Right now, and Nick, and with your weight class, is it the same deal, or you still have the padding on and the shin guards?
Yeah, I still have the shin pads on. He's fighting for the amateur belt, so they give him almost pro rules because it's preparing him to go pro. But mine's still amateur. I look for an advanced amateur fight, but the guy I'm fighting is you have to have 3 fights to take the shin guards off, and he's only had 1, so we couldn't do that.
Okay, so it's got to be compatible with the other fighter that you're fighting against.
You both have to have 3 fights in amateur, and then you can take the shin pads off.
Now, I know, Dymere, that you're coaching as well on the side. You're coaching like the youth and wrestling and stuff as well.
Yeah.
How do you see a lot of day-to-day like kids that with a lot of talent coming through? I mean, how's that looking for you on that end? I mean, it's good to give back and be able to coach the youth.
Yeah, I mean, I've been around coaching, ever since I got done wrestling in college, and I think just wrestling as a whole is just getting better and better and better, especially in like the South Jersey area right now.
Yeah.
you know, we had a pretty good showing at the high school states this year in South Jersey. I coach at St. Augustine Prep.
Yeah,
so,
my alma mater.
Yeah. So
Good old Hermits.
we had three guys on the podium this year. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 14 weight classes. We had 3 guys on the podium this year, so it was a good turnout for us this year. I actually have a kid on the team that I think I will actually end up in the cage one day.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's a beast. He's a beast, you know. But now, I mean, I see a lot of good talent. You know, Jersey's always pretty tough. You know,
Yeah.
we're always top 5 in the country.
Yeah.
You know, we send a lot of guys D1.
Mm-hmm.
The best wrestler in the almost ever in our country is right from Sicklerville. So
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, Jordan Burroughs. You know,
I definitely heard of the name, and he's a big time name around here.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, do you see any differences when you guys were younger and fighting as the grades that are coming up now? Like, you know, as a coach, right? You know, if you're looking at it as like a different standpoint now, being older, you know, being more experienced, do you think like the fighting techniques and styles are still the same, or do you think they've changed over the years? And Nick, you can weigh on this too, and after, you know, Dymere.
I mean, I think Nick would agree with me. To me personally, wrestling always prevails. You know, if you look at like all like the champs in like the UFC, they always dominate in wrestling. Like Khabib he just literally smothered everybody with wrestling.
Yeah.
And that's how he won. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as a whole, you know, you got to be more versatile now than you did like before.
Yeah, I agree. Wrestling's just the best background to have, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. You know, it's been like that forever. So,
right.
I don't
I mean, you think
can
about
crack
it.
that.
Like, you got a guy like Conor McGregor who, his hands probably were one of the best, I would say, ever in the cage.
Yeah,
if you want to talk striking wise, anybody that took him to the ground, you know, got him. I mean, it all comes back to what I said. If you can weather their storm, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like wrestling, you have that background, just seems so important because, you know, you could be a stand-up fighter. I mean, and you could progress, you could do well, you could win some fights, you may lose some fights too. But I feel like the ground game is just so it's so hard to do the ground game, and it's so effective.
Well, the thing is, I think, like a lot of these guys, even if they don't take you down, they're almost impossible to take down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the key. Like Usman, I think Covington was the first person to take him down ever.
Yeah.
In the cage. You know, he's had like 16 fights in the cage and he's been taken down one time ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you can't be taken down and your hands are that good, you know what I mean, how are you gonna lose?
Yeah. Every fight just starts on the feet, and you know, it's kind of like a puncher's chance almost. You know, there could be a better striker, but it's almost like you guys are going to war, slugging it out, and if somebody has that wrestling advantage, you know, they're going to use it, and then, you know, you're in their world now. So
Yeah.
it goes a long way.
I mean, it's and again, some fights, especially personally that I've watched, turn into almost like a wrestling match, as we were just kind of talking about, like throughout halfway through the fight. Like if one of the fighters has that technique and has that wrestling background, like you said, Nick, you made a great point. The other guy may be primarily a striker, but you get that guy on the ground who maybe doesn't practice wrestling that much, or doesn't have a wrestling history. I mean, that whole, like you said, that whole match, that whole game changes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a wrestler's dream almost.
Yeah.
Like if you're fighting in the cage and the guy is just a strict striker, that's a wrestler's dream. Like they'll love that.
Yeah, our coach doesn't even, if you join our gym, he will not let you fight unless, you know, you're wrestling and doing jiu-jitsu tournaments. You know, a lot of guys only want to come in and box it out and keep it on the feet, but they gotta have some sort of wrestling and ground game before they could get in the cage.
Yeah. And that's got to stink too for like a guy who's maybe not that great or can't really wrestle. He just maybe wants to spar and just you know, practice just striking, but like it's gotta be frustrating because you get on the ground and you know you're not used to getting out of that off the ground. It's gotta be a pain, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple guys on our team like that. Like there's a kid that trains us named Mike Neal. He probably would be okay in the cage, honestly.
Yeah,
but
tough kid.
He's tough as nails, but he doesn't have a wrestling background at all. But I mean, as far as like slugging it out, I think he would go in there and be fine. But
Right.
you know, anybody that takes him to the ground, he would have a little bit of trouble. But
Right.
but he's definitely a tough kid. But I don't think he likes jiu-jitsu too much.
Yeah, we get a lot of tough kids like that come in just slugging it out. And,
Yeah.
you know, they can fight, but they
Yeah.
just gotta work that ground game, and then they could really fight. You know, really get in the cage and do something.
So let's talk about a little bit more of you know, of your venues that you guys will be fighting at. Now, it's always good for our listeners to be able to understand what we're talking about. Right now, we have some UFC fans, we have some big time fighting fans that like to listen to what we're doing. Some people that may come on for the first time that are hearing a new show may not be able to understand about, you know, the fighting world. So we like to explain a little bit about that and what you guys do to kind of give them a little bit, you know, of an education, you could say, on what the fighting game entails, right? But let's talk a little bit about the venues that you guys are going to be fighting at. Dymere, we'll start with you. So, Parks Casino, Bensalem, PA, May 14th. What should our listeners know about that fight for you next week if they want to tune in or they actually want to go to the fight live? What are some things that you could tell us?
So if you want to go to the fight, the tickets are still on sale. They're online, CFFC. You can go on their website, click Parks Casino. There's a drop-down box for my name. Just click my name. But Parks, man, it's a great venue. It's in, I think it's called the Excite Center. Yeah, I think it's called.
Yeah.
You know, Nick actually fought there too. He had a TKO win there. It's a great venue, man. The like backstage, like the back rooms where like all the fighters are, man, they're nice. They got, you know, it's like a lounge area.
Yeah.
You know, you have plenty of time. You can rest. I'm actually the last fight of the night, so I have to be there at 11 to get COVID tested, and then I can't leave, so I got to be there all day.
Right.
So I'll be chilling, man, but you know, it won't be too bad because it's pretty comfortable in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you can get to the Excite Center through the casino. I'm not sure. I know like the fighters camp, you got to go straight to the Excite Center.
I do remember, I believe I was able to attend one of your fights back in the fall, Dymere. I remember, I believe the entrance, they go through the casino floor, and then you're able to walk to the admission doors. The box office out there, you pick up your ticket, and then they would let you entry into the Excite Center. And those of you that are interested in going to the fight or, you know, are wanting to check it out, it is a beautiful venue. From what I do remember, and the Excite Center is a very big venue, a lot of room.
Yeah, and there's not a bad seat in the house, man.
No.
Like it's pretty level everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there's some seats that are closer if you want to get the cage side tickets or whatever. But no, they put on a good show. I mean, CFFC as a whole promotion, they do well. They do well.
And that will be next Saturday, May 21st.
No, May 14th.
May 14th, excuse me. Yes, 21st would be the next week where Nick is going to be fighting. But next week will be May 14th at Saturday night, and that'll be at Parks Casino at the Excite Center. You can get your tickets online, like Dymere said. You know, come out to the fight. It's going to be a great day. You'll see lots of action, and you know, it's going to be crazy, and it's going to be live in there.
Yeah.
So Nick, talk about your fight, which will be the following Saturday on May 21st at Maverick MMA at the Split Rock Resort. Now, I don't know much about the Split Rock Resort, but explain to our audience and our listeners how does that look like?
It's a resort in the Poconos. It's a really nice resort. I heard it's beautiful. It's on a lake. But
oh wow,
they got a water park there, a golf course, movie theater. There's a lot of different things to do there for kids and families. So I heard that they put on a good show. Maverick, they sent me a video of, you know, how all the seats are filled, sold out shows, and they get a lot of coverage. So should be a nice venue. I've never fought there before or for them, but I've heard good things, so I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. And then now, do you know what time your fight card starts?
Yeah, 7 o'clock the fight start. I'm probably the first or second fight of the night, so I'll be quick.
Oh, great. Okay. And you can get your tickets online as well for our listeners?
Yes, at maverickmma.com. You can get tickets. And
So both you guys, I mean, I just from knowing you, Dymere and Nick, I've heard a lot of great things about you as well. And again, I think we, you know, for our listeners, it's definitely something we want to do again in the future because we want to do a follow-up on a lot of these fights and also promote your next fights coming up. But what's one word of advice I would say, you know, that I would like to hear from each of you, you know, and next time when we have more time, we'll get a lot more into, you know, the history of fighting and different techniques and fighting styles. But what would you say, Dymere, is the one thing, and I know you probably do this with your wrestlers that you coach at the younger age, what's one piece of advice that you would give our listeners or anyone that wants to get into the fighting scene?
Advice-wise, I would say, this isn't something that you can say that like you just want to try. You got to actually want to do it. You got to love it. I mean, it's not a game. You know what I mean? It's not just a sport. It's got to be a lifestyle. And then just having a good support system. Make sure.
Big time.
Make sure. Your support system's good. I got my fiance, my daughter. It's my motivation. Just be motivated.
Yep.
So.
And Nick, real quick, we have a couple seconds here. Which one thing that you would say?
Yeah, you just gotta fight hard, man. A lot of fighters in this are tough, so you gotta outwork them.
Yep. Well, gentlemen, I thank you. We are running out of time, but I appreciate you coming on tonight. We're definitely gonna do this again in the future. Thank you all for tuning in, and I would like you guys to tune in next week to my show at 7 p.m. This is the Big Man here on the Big Man's Report on News Talk 1400, WOND, and 92.3. We are live from Hard Rock Studios, and I'll see you all next week. Stay dry. See you next weekend. You got a back of memories or not?
No, I can.